I deliberately kissed and flirted with his brother in front of my ex-boyfriend. Seeing him furious, I didn't forget to compliment him. "You're such a good person, getting so happy for us like this." I had just finished an interview and was utterly exhausted when my long-lost ex-boyfriend suddenly jumped out and blocked my path. If I'm not mistaken, this is my ex-girlfriend, isn't it? Soo-kyun, impeccably dressed, was holding a young woman in his arms, a barely contained excitement and smugness dancing in his eyes. Sunlight bathed his entire body, while I remained shrouded in shadow. "We absolutely must have a meal together, catch up properly. I'm especially keen to know just how miserable your life has been without me." He carried on talking to himself. Rage and irritation flashed across my face. Before I could inquire after his dear parents, the girl in his arms spoke up softly and sweetly. "Can I join the fun? What's wrong with her?" Ignoring my unwillingness, Soo-kyun smiled amiably. "Sure, three's just right." Watching the two of them being all lovey-dovey, I suddenly changed my mind and, steeling myself, agreed. I wanted to see just how happy this girl could be. With Soo-kyun's bizarre personality, how happy could he possibly make her? After getting into the car with them, I started feeling upset. This car of Soo-kyun's, even secondhand, it cost several million. How did I know? Last time I was rushing to an interview when I encountered a car like this on the road. The navigation directly warned, "Vehicle ahead is extremely expensive. Please keep your distance. Turn off the engine, pull the handbrake and maintain a safe distance of over 5 meters. So the driver stopped right in the middle of the scorching hot road, not daring to move for ages. And I, successfully late, lost a job opportunity. This car, this person were clearly incompatible. Maybe it was Soo-kyun, that jinx, who caused me to be late last time." Thinking this, I shot Soo-kyun a fierce glare. However, he happened to look up into the rear-view mirror at that exact moment, and our eyes met in an intensely awkward collision. It lasted only a second, but the humiliation was profound, and he seemed to curl his lips in a slight sneer. As the car entered the residential area, I felt even more disheartened and upset. A high-end neighborhood, surrounded by shops I would normally never set foot in. Why are there so many rich people in the world, yet not one of them is me? Why should my ex-boyfriend have this kind of luck? Even without a mirror, I knew my face was currently etched with jealousy. Arriving at a duplex apartment, Soo-kyun personally cooked a lavish meal. Throughout, he played and joked with his girlfriend, looking utterly besotted. Towards me, he was practically icy. He said he wanted to catch up, but it was clearly just to show off how well he was doing in front of me. And I, foolishly, handed myself over on a platter, letting him have his way. My back remained stiff the entire time, just like my expression. Finally, enduring the meal to its end, I immediately found an excuse and fled out the door. Unexpectedly, Soo-kyun followed me. He didn't say a word the whole way, only speaking up as I was about to get into a taxi. He smirked mockingly. "You didn't seem very happy back there. Why is that? Regretting leaving me?" I felt a slight flutter of panic, avoiding his gaze. "You're overthinking it." He raised an eyebrow with a smile, not arguing, and turned to leave. After 2 steps, he looked back again, his tone resigned. "The company you interviewed at is mine. What to do? This time, it's you who's actively approaching me. Should I refuse? When I was 11, I jumped into a river and saved a drowning boy. From then on, I acquired an extremely clingy shadow. That was Soo-kyun. I always remember when we first got together, how he held me triumphantly, forehead pressed to mine. I'm not some delicate fawning puppy. I have plenty of methods and strength. Actually, I never liked him from the start, even feared him, because that time there were 2 boys and 1 girl drowning. After rescuing one, I was completely exhausted, too afraid to go back into the water. I could only watch as the other 2 lives gradually stopped struggling and disappeared beneath the surface. Compared to my grief and self-blame, Soo-kyun, as one involved, acted almost cold-bloodedly. He could even comfort me in return. "You did your best. Don't blame yourself too much." My first thought at the time was, this boy is frighteningly calm. Could it be that he pushed them in on purpose? But soon, I dismissed it. How could someone so young be that cruel? Besides, he looked so fair and rosy-lipped, utterly harmless. In the end, the incident was ruled an accident, but I couldn't let it go for a long time. From then on, I became filled with doubt and fear towards the world. After all, 2 vibrant lives had slipped away before my eyes. Yet the other person involved was completely unaffected. Soo-kian was good-looking, came from a well-off family, transferred to my school and class, clamored about repaying his debt of gratitude, and praised me to everyone. I felt I finally had someone paying attention to me, someone who cared. Though deep down I felt uneasy and fearful about his various actions, I couldn't help but accept him as my little follower. We went everywhere together, inseparable, all the way until we attended the same university, when he started openly, at every opportunity, expressing his affection for me. No, rather than affection, it was possessiveness. He wished he could watch me every moment. If I spoke one extra word to anyone, he'd interrogate me relentlessly. He'd even deliberately create the illusion that he'd gone traveling, only to secretly follow me, take various photos, and create relationship diagrams and favorability index table in his rented flat. When I discovered it, he knelt on the floor apologizing incessantly, held me so I couldn't leave, forcing me to forgive him. So extreme it made me feel intensely unsafe. To escape, I had to comply with his wishes. But soon after, I got a boyfriend. I thought this way I could distance myself from him, end our connection. But I never imagined he'd go so far as to spread rumors everywhere, saying we were childhood sweethearts, that we'd been together long ago, that we'd been intimate, that I was promiscuous, and had abandoned him, making everyone wary of me, avoiding me. My boyfriend swiftly broke up with me, even called me shameless. I went to confront Soo-kian, and he pulled out the kneeling apology trick again, this time adding suicide. He said he tried very hard to learn to let go, but he couldn't do it. He said he loved me. He couldn't live without me. We argued the entire night, smashed everything in the room. In the end, I relented, agreed to be with him for 3 months. If he couldn't make me satisfied after breaking up, he would immediately go abroad, and we'd never see each other again in this lifetime. At the beginning of the relationship, he took care of me in every way, was romantic, attentive to details, and also knew to give me personal space. We had only sweetness, no conflicts. But right in the 3rd month, something happened in Soo-kian's family, forcing him to return home for a while. Separated by distance, his controlling tendencies began to surface again. 24 hours a day, I spent almost 20 of them having to answer his questions about what I was doing. Even when I said I was sleeping, he'd ostensibly say he believed me, but then constantly check up on me, video call me randomly, occasionally even making my flatmates vouch for me. I was worn out dealing with it, simply couldn't cope, and switched off my phone for one night. The next morning he returned to campus, full of sweet talk, wanting to take me back to his hometown with him. Don't you have some psychological issue? You should see a doctor, not be in a relationship. That day I broke up with him, deleting all his contact methods right in front of him. Perhaps my words touched a nerve within him. He didn't try to stop me. After sorting out his family matters, he went directly abroad, never contacted me again. Pulling myself out of the memories, I subconsciously touched my face, still couldn't cry. I thought those memories, both happy and painful, could stimulate my tear ducts, let me achieve some emotional release. Unfortunately, I still failed. Why does a person living on become a stagnant drop in the ocean of humanity, losing even the ability to ripple? The lit-up phone screen showed an HR onboarding notification. The message arrived the moment I got into the taxi. It said I'd been accepted, but the position had changed, not the designer role I interviewed for, but a personal assistant. The salary was 3 times the previous offer. Reason told me to refuse, but deep inside, the weariness with my monotonous life resisted fiercely. In the end, emotion won. After confirming the start date, I tossed and turned in bed. Suddenly, a friend request popped up. The profile picture was blank. The nickname was Order Me Around, Mate. Signature: widowed. Instinct told me it was Soo-kian, but this style didn't seem like him. And what's with widowed? Didn't I just see him being affectionate with his girlfriend? As soon as I accepted the request, the other person sent a message, finally behaving. Before I could reply, he added a voice message. Lazy tone, low voice. Then I'll play along with you properly, ex-girlfriend. Also, Happy birthday. Only upon his reminder did I remember what day it was. I never thought he'd be the first and only person to wish me a happy birthday. After some thought, I screenshotted the chat and sent it to the psychologist who's been handling my case, Shenmo. That person is back. I still hate him so much. What should I do? No reply came for a while, so I lay back on the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling light. Unconsciously, an hour passed. When I picked up my phone again, there were 3 new messages, all from Shenmo. What you hate, is it really him, or is it yourself from back then? Or perhaps you still like him? Tell me what you truly feel. Yes, using the word hate for Soo-Kian is too strong. What I hate is the person I've become now. In front of Shenmo, I've never been a fully honest patient. My finger hovered over the screen for a long time before I finally typed, deleting and rewriting, and sent a line. I want his attention. I'm jealous of him being good to others. I don't want to admit my own ordinariness. I can't accept that no one loves me. Shenmo once said that my inability to forget Soo-Kian stems from how he once intensely satisfied my vanity. His favoritism and unconditional indulgence made me inflated and proud, made me think I was exceptional. Later, he left, and no one paid me any attention anymore. Only then did I realize how ordinary I was. Utterly unremarkable. This gap gradually drove me to collapse. Inferiority, suspicion, and resistance to socializing. It could also be said that Soo-Kian, during our past interactions, successfully brainwashed me, made me believe that in this world only he would love me consistently, forever and always, never betray me. Losing him, I would never receive sincere love again. Right, but also not entirely right. Because since childhood, I've always had this idea instilled in me. I never deserved sincere love. I was a redundant person. I really, really want to hurt him, provoke him, anger him, make him apologize to me. I don't know why I think this way, but I can't control it. But do you understand that such behavior is wrong? Shenmo asked. I know. I shouldn't get entangled with him again. But why should he get better and better after leaving me? Why should the one who broke the promise not pay a price? Just like my parents, why can they have a harmonious, happy family? Yes, I have completely legitimate reasons to hate Soo-Kian. He caused this. That's why I am like this now. Waves of anger rose higher and higher within me, pulling me deeper into darkness. You want him to admit that leaving him was the most correct choice, don't you? After a long wait, Shenmo sent this message. Yes. Help me. Don't make me beg you. I replied quickly. All right. Whatever you want to do, I'll listen. This time, treat yourself on your own. He replied swiftly. Treat myself on my own. I stared at these words for a long time. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door of food delivery. Inside the packaging was a handwritten card. Eating is most important. Take care of yourself. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Shenmo's work. This psychologist is really something. Can both ease emotions and solve the problem of food and clothing. Before I could thank him, he contacted me first. I bet you didn't eat again. No need to thank me. I know I'm a good person. Brother's spirit of targeted poverty alleviation is truly touching. I replied. Can you wish me a happy birthday? Scrolling through the silent recent contacts list, I switched back to Shenmo's chat page, typed a line, then deleted it character by character. After several days at the company, Soo-Kian deliberately ignored me, only using a suggestive gaze to humiliate me. His current girlfriend, however, frequently came to probe my background. Clearly not a member of this company, nor any shareholder, yet she carried herself with the air of a boss's wife. The girl I liaised with for work whispered to me, "Be careful. Don't say more than necessary to the boss, or this young lady will see you as a rival." Isn't that just like Soo-Kian from the past? Eyeing everyone around me with vigilance and wariness. I pressed my lips together and quietly thanked her for the advice. Leaving work, I messaged Shenmo. Are you downstairs? I'll be right down. Shenmo replied. I'm here. I was inexplicably certain Soo-Kian was watching me covertly, so I purposely took off my jacket, revealing the revealing crop top underneath, and walked step by step towards Shenmo's car. The moment I opened the door, Shenmo's cool eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of concern crossing his handsome face. His hands on the steering wheel tightened unconsciously. His knuckles were long and slender, a small brown mole on his prominent wrist bone, contrasting with his pale complexion. It had an indescribable allure. "Your waist is too slender. It doesn't suit wearing something like this." He said it seriously, without a hint of suggestiveness. Such an ambiguous statement, yet because his looks were too austere and noble, it couldn't be linked to desire. I glanced down at my midriff, bent down, and slipped into the passenger seat. Grinning, I said, "Thanks for the compliment." Shen Mo shook his head, changing the subject. "Are you sure he'll care?" I thought for a moment, shook my head, and said nothing more. The car glided smoothly through the city. The sky at the end of the road was painted with the brilliant, expansive hues of sunset. Wind blew in, easing my unease, dispelling my agitation. During a red light, Shen Mo glanced at me, seeming hesitant. Just as I was about to tease him, a sudden loud crash came from behind. The car jolted violently. Shen Mo and I were thrown forward uncontrollably, then yanked back hard by our seatbelts. "Are you all right?" Shen Mo checked on me first. "Any injuries?" My heart racing, I stared dumbly at the left side view mirror. Reflected in it was a red convertible Maserati that had rear-ended us. My heart beat to its limit, then quickly returned to normal. I curved a smile and turned to meet Shen Mo's gaze. "Shen Mo, does this make life a bit more interesting?" I asked. "But Su Qian is a mad dog. Are you afraid?" Pretending not to care. The moment a guy gets close to me, he's targeted. Su Qian is still the same Su Qian, always acting on impulse and caprice. Shen Mo looked at me puzzled, then showed a hint of understanding. "Then I have to trouble you to protect me." I smiled, turned, opened the car door, and walked towards the back. Sure enough, just as I guessed, the car's owner was Su Qian. He sat in the driver's seat as if nothing had happened, smiling lazily. His eyes were hidden behind square-frame sunglasses. He wore only a white shirt, casually buttoned, his collarbone catching the sunset, reflecting fragmented light. He rested his elbow on the windshield and crooked 2 fingers at me. Using the excuse of tucking stray hair behind my ear, I hid my excitement and walked over with small steps. "We're destined to be entangled," he said, staring straight at me, not a hint of apology in his tone. I frowned. "I know you did it on purpose." He tilted his head, raising one eyebrow. "Little fool, I couldn't bear to treat you like that. It really was an accident, just a pleasantly coincidental one." Shen Mo checked the rear damage and suggested we first move the cars to somewhere less obstructive. "My little assistant," Su Qian ignored him, swung his long legs out of the car, and walked over to me. "Time for you to handle this. I'm in a hurry to be with another woman, so I'll leave first. Sort it out and then bring the car to me." Without waiting for my reply, he turned and left. His broad-shouldered, narrow-waisted silhouette bathed in the romantic evening light, calmly exiting the scene of chaos. "Hungry? Let's eat first. We'll move the car. Let the insurance handle it." Shen Mo didn't seem surprised by Su Qian's words, nor concerned about the car's damage. He made the suggestion calmly. I took a deep breath, rallying my spirits. "Let's deal with the accident first. Su Qian is fully liable. He has to compensate you." A faint smile touched Senino's lips, ripples of light in his eyes, as if carrying a spring breeze. "I'm not short of money. A good meal is more important than anything." A wave of warmth surged in my heart, mixed with a faint sense of triumph. Almost as if bewitched, I leaned closer to Shen Mo, looking up into his eyes. "Are you this responsible with all your patients?" He seemed slightly confused, answering earnestly. "Doctors are human too. They have people and things they want to treat specially. Are you feeling pressured?" "Of course not." I was even proud of it. He had no idea how much I longed to be treated specially. During the meal, Shen Mo didn't show any excessive attentiveness or ambiguous behavior. It seemed he really was just there for a good meal. He occasionally supervised me, telling me not to just eat vegetables, but to have a balanced meal of meat and greens. I noticed he had a good appetite, wasn't picky, and enjoyed everything he ate. This also boosted my appetite, and I ate happily. It had been too long since someone had focused entirely on having a meal with me. Right when the atmosphere was most relaxed and comfortable, my phone suddenly rang. Su Qian gritted his teeth on the other end, demanding, 1 hour, 23 minutes. How much longer dare you make me wait? What's there to dare? I took a sip of my drink and replied slowly, eating. Another hour. After saying that, I quickly hung up, not giving him a chance to respond. Still immersed in that sense of satisfaction, Shen Mo opposite me chuckled softly. You're like a little kid. Did he think I was childish? After the meal, Shen Mo drove me home. Lying alone in bed, the details of the meal replayed endlessly in my mind. I couldn't help but savor the deeper layers of flavor. 2 hours later, I reluctantly got up, preparing to meet Soo-Kian. As I was about to leave, my peripheral vision caught a pair of men's leather shoes on the shoe rack. My heart instantly leaped to my throat. Over the past few years, I'd lived a very closed-off life. Hadn't made any friends, let alone male friends. I'd never bring anyone home. Except for Shen Mo. Ah, Shen Mo. The guess that sprang to mind urgently needed confirmation. I took out my phone and dialed the number I'd called countless times. He answered quickly, his tone amused. Go ahead. I have time to listen. That simple sentence actually made my palms grow damp with sweat. There's suddenly a pair of men's shoes in my flat. I steadied myself. I'm a bit scared. Shen Mo was quiet for a few seconds, then said awkwardly, If I said I forgot to put them on when I left, would you believe me? How could someone forget to wear their own shoes? I believe that when pigs fly. He probably thought it sounded absurd too. He added, Just leave them there. Having a pair of men's shoes at the entrance might even scare off some bad guys. That was really easy to misinterpret. I played along, pretending to be naive, hung up the phone happily, and headed out. In a dimly lit corner of the bar, a girl sat on Soo-Kian's lap, whispering in his ear. Both acted as if they hadn't noticed my sudden appearance. After standing nearby for several minutes with them still glued together, I lost patience. I walked over and threw the car keys at Soo-Kian's face. Mr. Soo, your car is delivered. But I have to say, today's girlfriend doesn't have as good eyesight as yesterday's. As I turned to leave, something tripped me. Seeing I was about to fall, someone grabbed my arm. Then I changed direction, falling towards Soo-Kian, my lips meeting his. And that girl was still sitting on Soo-Kian's other leg, her face resting against his right shoulder. To an outsider, it might look like some sort of three-person game. I scrambled to get up, wanting to flee. But Soo-Kian didn't give me the chance. He pushed the girl away with one hand, then smoothly cupped the back of my head, tilting his neck back, deepening the kiss wantonly. After it ended, he nuzzled my neck, his voice hoarse as if advising me, Don't be so forward. You can't handle it. I pushed him away fiercely, catching my breath for a moment, then raised my hand and slapped him hard. The girl nearby let out a soft, turned her head, seemingly stifling a laugh. What kind of disposable girlfriend is this? Soo-Kian remained motionless, legs spread, leaning back, his gaze mocking as if I hadn't just slapped him, but was flirting with him. And you always knew exactly how to treat my idiosyncrasies. Before I could fully grasp his meaning, he suddenly leaned in, tightly wrapping an arm around me, pulling me outside. I'm willing to be messed up by you. He practically forced me into the passenger seat, then quickly got into the driver's side and locked the doors. Inside the confined space, the sense of oppression was everywhere. Flickering light and shadow fell on him, amplifying his menacing aura. Soo-Kian, I know you have issues, but can you not make it so obvious? I said nervously. His peach blossom eyes narrowed slightly. He braced one hand on the headdress behind me, leaning in slowly. So close, yet not touching. Our breaths mingled, the temperature rose, ambiguity blossomed. He made no other move, just held my intense gaze. His prominent, sensual Adam's apple bobbed occasionally, betraying his restraint. I held my breath, not daring to move. But then his expression suddenly softened, and he slumped onto me. His voice was full of hurt. Why do you need so many tactics? You just have to grip your finger, and I'd come. In an instant, memories of the past flooded back. His affectionate confession, like a curse, ignited a murderous rage within me. He suddenly lifted his head, looking at me sincerely. All these years I've been watching you. Did you think it was really fate? It was all my careful scheming. In this relationship, I'm the one who's been trying. His effort was to trap me by his side. Every time I got a job, either I'd be inexplicably targeted by my boss or ostracized by colleagues. That was all you're doing, right? And this time, landing at your company wasn't a coincidence either. He remained sincere, a shimmer of moisture welling in his eyes. You understand me so well. Steadying my emotions, I reached up and stroked his fluffy hair. I don't want to hear sweet talk. I want to hear how miserable your life has been. He smiled somewhat sadly. I hate you, yet I can't help smiling at you. I clearly want to force myself on you, yet I still have to tell you I love you first. Every word was earnest, earnestly pathological. I couldn't help laughing. He laughed with me but didn't continue. Instead, his hands became more aggressive, his intent obvious. I didn't dare make any sudden moves, afraid he'd escalate. After mustering some tears, I pressed down on his hands. Soo-Kyun, next time, okay? His movements slowly stopped. He looked up at me, his eyes turbulent, frighteningly red. Yet his words were light and breezy. I want to hear you say you love me. Say it until I'm satisfied, and then I'll let you go. Thinking he was just carried away by passion, I let my guard down. I obediently complied, just wanting it to end quickly, to escape quickly. But the next day, my repeated cries of I love you were broadcast for everyone to hear. Not even the middle school class group was spared. Among the several voice messages were some suggestive moans and groans. Even more terrifying, I only found out when Soo-Kyun's girlfriend, with her boss's wife demeanor, cornered me in the pantry and played them for me, one by one. I knew you were a slut the moment I saw you. Her face contorted with rage as she raised her hand to strike me. I was trembling all over, my attention entirely fixed on the chat records on her phone, completely oblivious. After seeing it, I quickly checked my parents' WeChat, switching back and forth. The classmates were all from the neighborhood back home. They were in several of the same groups. They couldn't possibly not know. Over 10 hours had passed. Why hadn't they even asked? The last message they sent me was 2.5 months ago. When are you going to scrimp and save enough to buy your brother a flat? After a while, I raised my head in a daze, just in time to see Soo-Kyun slap the woman across the face, then shove her aside like rubbish. His expression was arrogant, his gaze icy. I knew you were a slut the moment I saw you. The woman was stunned for several seconds before she started crying, not a heart-wrenching wail, but a skillful stream of delicate tears, her sobs pitiful. Soo-Kyun, you said as long as I kept being good to you, you wouldn't leave me. Did I do something wrong? Soo-Kyun remained unmoved. He wrapped an arm around my shoulders, using his height to tap me under his arm. Raising an eyebrow, he replied nonchalantly, My true love is back. Of course I'm tossing out the spare tire. Don't you understand that, Tang King-wen? What have I taught you all this time? Be obedient. How dare he be so brazen? I was the true love. And this is how he treats his true love. If spreading rumors back in university was him loving me, but not knowing how, just wanting to break up my relationship, then this time, knowing it was wrong yet doing it anyway, escalating it, wasn't that deliberate revenge? My parents also told me they truly loved me. Why were they always absent every time I needed them? During my dazed state, Soo-Kyun had already coldly had security escort the woman away. The spacious pantry was empty. Everyone wisely kept their distance. You're not angry, are you? I just wanted the whole world to know you love me. Soo-Kyun looked at me with deep affection. That way, you can't escape. I had too much anger but couldn't vent it. Instead, I became abnormally calm. I looked up, grabbed his neatly knotted tie, and pulled it down hard. Soo-Kyun, sometimes I really wish we could perish together. Just like I sometimes wished I could perish together with my parents. I have no idea how I got through that day. Strange glances followed me constantly, every single one laced with mockery and humiliation. Yet, it was impossible to pinpoint. Everyone pretended nothing was wrong. Soo-Kyun, however, wore his satisfaction openly on his face. He was arguably the least hypocritical person in the company. Finally, when work ended, I fled the office like escaping a disaster, turned off my phone, hailed a taxi, and headed straight for Shenmo's place. Right now, I desperately needed to play the victim. I waited for Shenmo for 3 hours in the emergency stairwell. the motion sensor lights flickering on and off. Outside the window opposite was a sea of city lights. A full moon climbed higher and higher. "Why didn't you call me?" Shenmo opened the door, leaning against the handle, stepping aside to let me in. That way I'd seem even more pitiful. With red-rimmed eyes, I leaned against the wall, unmoving. Shenmo waited patiently for a moment, then reached out and ruffled my hair. "You haven't eaten, have you? Would you like to try my cooking?" Before he could finish, I rushed over, wrapped my arms around his waist, buried my face in his chest, and cried softly. A long time passed before I took a step back and let him go. Head lowered, I walked into the flat. This wasn't my first time here. On many previous occasions, when my emotions collapsed and I didn't want to be alone, Shenmo would bring me to his place, staying up all night talking with me, or listening to crosstalk and drinking tea. The room was as minimalist and clean as ever, every curtain drawn tightly shut. The lighting was warm, casting a hazy, gentle glow over everything. "Shenmo, how much longer are you going to let Soo-Kian bully me? He's ruined me again. Have you had enough of this game?" Shenmo wasn't a psychologist. No, it should be described this way. He used to be a psychologist. Later, for some reason, he quit. I found out because Shenmo only took me to his clinic late at night, though he said people's urge to talk is stronger in the dead of night. But after many times, I grew suspicious and deliberately investigated. The reason I continued associating with him was because I saw Soo-Kian's personal file at his place. The things recorded in it sparked a lot of interest in me, and the thrill of Peep. More importantly, I couldn't bear to give up someone willing to invest effort in me, just like how I couldn't bear to give up Soo-Kian before. Years of companionship, years of opening up. Up to now, I had even less courage to draw a clear line with him. Shenmo's breathing deliberately slowed, perhaps brainstorming reasons in his mind. After a long pause, he placed his hands on my shoulders, stepping back step by step, until my back pressed against the cold wall. He lowered his gaze, staring at me, his breath hot, washing over the shell of my ear. A strange sense of pleasure rose in my heart. I clenched my palms, restraining my emotions, waiting for him to speak. But I didn't expect him to be so direct. His warm, soft lips lightly brushed the space between my nose and upper lip, then slowly moved to my upper lip, like a feather sweeping past, a fleeting touch. "You like me, don't you?" His voice was low and deep, carrying a magnetic allure. My gaze lingered on his prominent Adam's apple and the veins rising on his neck. Thinking for a moment, I lifted my head, bringing my lips closer. "Yes, I like you. But I'm afraid I'm just a trophy you and Soo-Kian are fighting over." "Shenmo, Soo-Kian's motives are too easy to see through. It's boring. But you, I can't figure out." Shenmo smoothed the hair by my ear, didn't speak, but openly accepted my scrutinizing gaze. "I won't let him bully you." He didn't answer me directly. Light refracted into halos on his smooth hair. His eyes were clear, complexion fair, nose bridge high, lips pale. He looked gentle and gentlemanly. I knew this was probably deceive, but the calmness he exuded made it somehow believable. I had to admit, he was more skilled than Soo-Kian. Soo-Kian used force. Shenmo attacked the heart. Taking a deep breath, I was about to speak when a rapid knocking sounded at the door, as if trying to punch holes in it. "Open up," followed by the violent sound of kicking. "And you, don't push me." Seeing Shenmo unmoved, I went to open the door myself, because I knew who it was. The moment our eyes met, my heart sank. A chill ran down my spine. Soo-Kian stepped closer, his peach blossom eyes slightly narrowed, glistening with moisture, the corners tinged red. His thin lips curved into a shallow smile, yet it felt devoid of warmth. His clothes were disheveled, the exposed skin covered in wounds, some still oozing blood. "And you, I told you, you can't escape. How dare you not listen?" He growled the question with a murderous aura of mutual destruction. Shenmo walked over, pulling me behind him with one arm, smiling gently. "Soo-Kian, you're still so ill-mannered." Soo-Kian didn't even look at him. "What right do you have to interfere in her and my affairs?" "I certainly have," Shenmo replied calmly. "I've had designs on her for a long time, and I loathe you to the bone." Sukyeon's expression froze for a second, as if those words had deeply wounded him. Pressing his lips together, he lowered his eyelashes, letting out a self-mocking laugh. Oh, suit yourself. I wasn't surprised Sukyeon showed up here. He always liked to follow me, pry into my secrets. After a few minutes of deadlock, Sukyeon lost patience, trying to bypass Shenmo to grab me by force. Shenmo is strictly on guard and will not give an inch. If you continue like this, I'll call the police. This didn't scare Sukyeon. His actions grew even more rude. Shenmo took out his phone, expression serious. He quickly dialed the emergency number, finger poised to press call. In that instant, I grabbed his hand. Don't let it come to this. A flicker of joy crossed Sukyeon's eyes. He lowered his fists, the violence around him lessening somewhat. Shenmo, could you go into the room first? I'd like to talk with Sukyeon in the living room for a bit. I stepped out from Shenmo's protection, standing between the two. Sukyeon frowned, clearly unwilling to stay here longer, but didn't say anything, just shot a sharp glare at Shenmo. All right, I'll listen to you. Shenmo met Sukyeon's gaze without hesitation. Sukyeon, control yourself. Sukyeon snorted from his nose. Get lost. What exactly is their relationship? I couldn't quite tell. After Shenmo went into the room, I sat on the sofa, facing the standing Sukyeon. You knew Shenmo before, right? Did you ask him to approach me? Yes, he admitted without hesitation. His understatement infuriated me. He still wanted to control me, even if he couldn't find an excuse to appear in my life. He'd use other extreme methods to monitor me, and in the end, attribute it all to his love for me. Because from start to finish, I've always loved you. Just as I finished this thought internally, he echoed it perfectly. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Sending those recordings to everyone around me was also because you love me? I asked. He knelt before me, earnest. I was afraid you'd stop loving me. I softly repeated his words. Then without hesitation, raised my hand and slapped him hard across the cheek. His fair face immediately reddened and swelled, a trace of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. His head turned to the side, eyelashes fluttering. Several seconds later, he turned back, stared at me with a sinister smile. Who asked you to get close to me? My love is like this. I can't even control it myself. You're scared? You want to run? I gave you chances. I laughed with him, a wetness gradually gathering in my eyes. Hard to say if it was pity for him or for myself. Sukyeon, I gave you chances too. Remember, this time, it's not you who won't let me go. It's me who won't let you go. With that, I opened my phone and played a covertly angled video. In the video was everything that happened in the car last time. He recorded audio. I secretly filmed. In a way, we really were on the same wavelength. Look at what you did to me. Does it count as assault? If I hadn't pretended to cooperate, this would probably be a crime scene. My voice softened. I leaned close, my breath ghosting over his lips. Tell me, should I follow your example and post it online? Or call the police? He lifted his chin, looking up at me. His beautiful peach blossom eyes were deep and gloomy. The smile was still there, yet it inexplicably sent a chill down my spine. Blue veins hidden beneath his cold white skin stood out on his slender neck, exuding a fierce and sexy charm. I swallowed, leaning back against the sofa. You're not angry, are you? Sukyeon lowered his lashes, silent for 2 seconds, then said very seriously. I can't understand why you'd hate me. Why couldn't he understand? Back then, in the name of love, he bound me tightly to him, then abandoned me. Even more ironically, all public opinion sided with him. Everyone avoided me. I became the joke. I became the villain. He was innocent. He was pitiful. The innocent one was clearly me. The wronged one was clearly me. But I didn't want to say these things anymore. It was pointless. It was more fun to laugh at his struggles and wild guesses. But I didn't expect him to suddenly go mad, lunging forward to clamp his hands around my throat, eyes bulging with rage. The one who enjoyed the admiration was you. The one who flaunted her charm was you. The one greedy for salvation was you. The one who proved ungrateful was still you. What right do you have to hate me? You never cared about my feelings. It was always me chasing after you, being good to you. What right do you have to hate me? I made you happy. You smiled at me. If I displeased you even a little, you'd kick me aside. What right do you have to hate me? Each word seemed to have been suppressed for a long time, wrung from the depths of his heart. It scared me so much I didn't dare breathe heavily. His dangerousness was unpredictable. I shouldn't have provoked him so easily. At this moment I felt some regret. Time crawled by. Just as my unease was amplified to the extreme, Shenmo appeared behind Soo Kian. He grabbed the back of Soo Kian's collar, yanking hard, then followed with a punch to his face. Soo Kian, caught off guard, staggered, and fell to the floor. Shenmo looked down at him. His droopy eyes, which naturally carried a coldness, were now filled with icy disdain. My heart stirred. Compared to a Buddha saving all beings, I preferred a decisive, ruthless demon. Like now. Shenmo. Believe me, my punishment of your mother was far from limited to that. If you're truly filial, don't provoke me. Soo Kian's pupils constricted violently. He quickly got up, grabbing Shenmo's collar with both hands, roaring, "You admit it? You drove her mad?" Shenmo smiled lightly. "And you admit she was faking it before?" I was completely lost, having no idea what they were talking about. I only saw Soo Kian slowly release Shenmo, take a few steps back, the previous arrogance gone. "Soo Kian, I want you to kneel and apologize to An Yu." Shenmo straightened his collar, making the demand calmly. Soo Kian was greatly shocked. I was also greatly shocked. Shenmo curved a faint smile. "Be obedient." After several minutes of silent confrontation, Soo Kian actually bent his knees and knelt. Pride is completely shattered, pitiful and detestable. I couldn't bear to look, shifting my gaze away. Shenmo showed no surprise. He crouched down, leaning close to Soo Kian's ear to whisper. The voice was too soft. I only faintly caught one sentence. "If there's a next time, your mother's fate will be yours." Soo Kian jolted violently. "What exactly is your relationship with An Yu?" Shenmo stood up, took my hand, and without a glance at Soo Kian, walked straight out. As if the person kneeling on the ground was just a dog blocking the way. I was intensely curious about the grudges between them, but my wariness wouldn't allow me to pry. The whole way, Shenmo focused on driving. The line from his jaw to his temple was tense, his profile superior, his temperament polished by the city's occasional flickering lights into something complex and charming. At the entrance to my neighborhood, he suddenly leaned over, ruffled my hair, and asked, "Do you feel sorry for him?" I hesitated for 2 seconds, then shook my head. "If he drove you to lose your temper like that, he must have done something terrible. I feel for you." He paused. "Then do you want to know about my past?" This time I decisively shook my head. "That's your own business. No need to tell me. I'm not good at comforting people, don't want to comfort them, and don't want to process others' emotions, causing myself trouble. For many years it's been this way. Protecting oneself starts with refusing to know too much. You also don't blame me for hiding the fact that Soo Kian and I know each other?" he asked again. I still shook my head. "I did blame you, but I can convince myself." "All right." He smiled somewhat dejectedly. "You can ask me any time. I'll wait for you." "Do you also like me?" I asked. "Yes." Shenmo took a step forward, then under my gaze, slowly lowered his head. A kiss of unknown meaning landed on my lips. The movement was light, slow, even allowing me time during it to count his eyelashes. Does this count as defining the relationship, boyfriend? I was unceremonious, going straight for it. Over the years, under the guise of psychological consultation, I've chatted on and on about all sorts of trivial and minor emotions to him. Rather than him treating me, it was more like him accompanying me. In front of him, I could say anything I wanted, express any emotion. He could always accept soberly and comfort gently, even if behind that gentleness lay his own motives. But it didn't matter. I knew what I wanted. He didn't deny it, nor did he confirm it. "Rest well, girlfriend." His voice was low and deep, carrying a hint of playful laughter. I observed him like appreciating a fine piece of art, unable to look away. His chin was sharp and thin, neck fair and slender, the angles of his Adam's apple slightly sharp, accentuating the superior and sexy lines of his collarbones below. What is long-term coexistence breeds affection? Clearly you, and you, are just attracted to his looks. A voice inside me spoke up. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Deceive yourself. Deceive others in the end. You still have to be true to your own desires, don't you? You rest well too, boyfriend. Good, I'll be obedient. That night, I slept with a heart that was restless and excited. After years, following Soo-Kyun, I finally had a boyfriend again. And this person was delivered to me by Soo-Kyun himself. How dramatic. How delightful. More importantly, the student had surpassed the master. So much sense of achievement. The next morning, I arrived at work on time, practically itching to carve the words, "My boyfriend is Shen Mo," into a sign and hang it around my neck. Although the looks my colleagues gave me were rather odd, it did nothing to dampen my good mood. It wasn't until the afternoon that Soo-Kyun finally showed up, his face looking utterly grim. He didn't lose his temper, just bottled it up. He looked like someone who had been duped by a close person using the simplest trick. Yet, as the victim, he dared not make a fuss, stubbornly maintaining his composure all alone. Every time I glanced at him, my mood lifted another notch. After a while, I grew unsatisfied with just that. Wasn't he supposed to be the personal assistant? How could I not report work to him? After touching up my makeup in the loo and applying a dark shade of lipstick, I casually picked up a file and under everyone's watchful eyes, rhythmically pushed open his office door in my heels. "Director Soo, shall we have a chat?" I sat down boldly in a chair before his desk, looking directly at him with a smile. His eyebrows twitched slightly, but he said nothing. Brimming with enthusiasm, I continued, "Thanks to you, I finally met a real gem. You have no idea, ever since you left me, ordinary men just don't cut it for me. Either their looks fall short, or they lack charm. What's more, Shen Mo is even more willing to put effort into me than you were. Every time I have a little mood swing or feel lost, he gets so tense, staying up all night to comfort me, replying to messages instantly without letting the conversation die, always available when I call, forever prioritizing my feelings." "Stop with the sarcasm." He gritted his teeth, cutting me off. I pouted, feigning innocence. "What's wrong? Wasn't he the one you sent to me? Didn't you tell him to care for me? I'm thanking you. With your two good friends getting together and bearing fruit, you even get to save on one wedding gift. Such a bargain. And we both remember your kindness. Happy? You knew about my connection with him long ago, didn't you? You deliberately played along, didn't you? And you, to get back at me, playing with fire until you get burned, is it worth it? Do you care about me that much?" He stared at me unblinkingly. I spread my hands. "Would you believe me if I said it was a coincidence? Maybe you should believe it. Otherwise, if I said I'm just lustful and never really cared about you, it would be rather awkward." Just then, my phone rang at an inopportune moment. It was an unknown number. It rang again after I hung up, persistently. Annoyed, I pressed answer. "Hello. Who is this?" The person on the other end first let out a few chuckles before speaking cheerfully. "So you're the woman who's been giving my two sons a hard time. I'm quite curious about you. Right now, immediately I want to meet you." I looked warily at Soo-Kyun, utterly baffled. But judging by his expression, he didn't seem to know anything either. Instead, he eyed me suspiciously. "Who is it?" "Well, you can guess on your own." I walked out without looking back, not even closing the door behind me. "You're an idiot." His emotionally charged roar followed me out. "Hello? Hello? What happened? Is he scolding you or me? Young lady? And you?" The person on the phone grew anxious, raising his voice, which startled me into quickening my pace. Only when I reached the emergency staircase and confirmed no one was around did I dare speak. "Can you tell me your sons' names?" He knew my name and said I'd been giving his two sons a hard time. What was this all about? The person on the phone deliberately played coy, laughing a few times. "I'll tell you when we meet." I was hesitant to agree. Sensing my hesitation, he added, "You pick the place. Don't worry. I'm not here to break you up. I'm here to join in. H-A-H-H-A ... I really couldn't grasp his sense of humor. The more he laughed, the more confused I became. "Don't tell Shen Mo for now. He always thinks I'm unreliable, and he'd get all nervous if he knew." Was he Shen Mo's father? Alright, now I had to meet him. I wanted to hear exactly how I'd been giving his two sons a hard time. We decided to meet at the cafe downstairs from the office. Half an hour later, I took the lift down, but unfortunately ran into Soo-Kyeon's girlfriend at the entrance. Or perhaps his ex-girlfriend. Her eyes were swollen and red, her makeup faint, and she looked quite pale. She must have stayed up all night. I felt somewhat guilty toward this girl. Although Soo-Kyeon had always been the one initiating things with me, if I hadn't joined this company, perhaps she wouldn't have gone through such pain. I was wondering whether to say something to comfort her, but she rushed over first, gripping my hands tightly. I'm sorry for my attitude last time. I was so shocked my eyes widened, unsure how to react. Her tears fell one after another. Please don't break up Xiao Qian and me, okay? I really love him. I can't live without him. In such a public place, she had truly humbled herself to the extreme. I quickly pulled her aside and handed her a tissue. I really don't understand liking someone to this extent. What's so good about Soo-Kyeon, always eyeing what's in the next bowl while eating from his own? She seemed not to grasp my meaning, just kept begging me not to hurt Soo-Kyeon or break them up. With no other choice, I had to make it quick. I have a boyfriend now, 100 times better than Soo-Kyeon. This time she reacted swiftly. Did you get close to him just to show off how well you're doing? I shrugged, smiling rather smugly. I got close to him to chase my boyfriend. By the time I finally extricated myself from Tang King-wen and reached the cafe, I was 5 minutes late. Scanning the room, I couldn't spot my target. Just as I was about to call and ask, a man dressed in very hip-hop style, wearing a baseball cap, stood up and waved at me. Over here. Huh? This? Filled with questions, I took my seat. The man introduced himself cheerfully. Long time no see, young lady. I grew even more puzzled. I'm sorry, have we met before? Over a decade ago, when you saved my son's life, I nearly knelt before you. Don't remember? He said animatedly, shocking me to my core. It took me a while to stammer out. Soo-Kyeon is your son? He nodded. Shen Mo is also your son? He nodded again. Those two brothers have always been close. Never thought they'd turn against each other over you. But this matter, before he could finish, a shadow suddenly fell over us. Shen Mo appeared beside us, his expression stern, and retorted, It's not her fault. Soo-Kyeon and I were never close. The atmosphere instantly chilled. He continued sternly, Next time, please don't disturb her so abruptly, and don't pull rank or emotionally blackmail her. He was so direct. And that was his father. You couldn't tell from his usual demeanor that he had such sharp edges. As if sensing my surprise, he turned to me, his expression softening. Did I scare you? I shook my head awkwardly. Shen Mo, when will you and I, father and son, ever reconcile? This time, when you and your brother fought over a woman, I chose to support you. How long will you hold this against me? Shen Mo's father grew agitated as well. Shen Mo let out a low chuckle, as if hearing a joke, and enunciated each word clearly. From the moment you chose to protect that woman, I never intended to forgive you in this lifetime. With that, he took my hand and led me out of the cafe. Only after stepping outside, blinded by the sunlight, did I collect myself and joke. I really couldn't tell you had such a temper. What if I can't win an argument with you in the future? His gloom vanished as he laughed. Don't worry. My will to survive is strong. You and Soo-Kyeon are biological brothers? Why didn't you tell me? I got back to the main point. Who could have guessed they had such a relationship? As soon as I finished speaking, Soo-Kyeon appeared out of nowhere, a hint of smugness on his face. How would he dare tell you he's the illegitimate son? Shen Mo's eyes turned icy in an instant. The smirk on Soo-Kyeon's lips grew wider. He dragged out each word slowly. Illegitimate son. Then, as if even more pleased, he added, After studying psychology all these years, still haven't managed to counsel yourself. It's just being an illegitimate son. Why make such a big deal? Huh? Illegitimate son? Soo-Kyeon was such a git. Shen Mo's fists clenched, the veins on his neck faintly pulsing. Afraid they might come to blows, I quickly linked my arm with Shen Mo's and comforted him softly. He's just sick. Ignore him. Shen Mo hummed in agreement. I leaned against his arm and smiled sweetly. I want to spend some alone time with you. Just the two of us, close together. Now it was Soo Ki-an's turn to clench his fists, the veins on his neck throbbing. In front of Soo Ki-an, I was mostly domineering. When we were together, he often begged me to act coy with him. I always refused, just so he'd keep acting coy toward me. Now, I'd let him see how I treated other men. Shen Mo probably caught on to my mischief. Despite being so reserved, he actually bent down and pressed his cheek against mine. Like this? I shyly hid in his embrace, stood on tiptoe and gave his lips a loud peck. Like this. Soo Ki-an's face flushed crimson, murder written all over it. I looked at him innocently. You're such a good person, getting this happy for us. His eyes red with anger, he snapped. And you, must you be so cheap in front of me? I continued playing innocent. Why are you insulting people? This is near your company. Have you no concern for your image? An unmarried man and an unmarried woman. I just like showing off our affection. Is that illegal? Maybe you should call the police. Soo Ki-an gave up arguing with me and said to Shen Mo, You're just as cheap as your mother. Shen Mo replied lightly, You're just as mental as yours. I don't need to bother with a mental case. I quickly nodded and pulled him away. Once in the car, Shen Mo didn't move for a long time, his head resting on the steering wheel, probably calming himself. After waiting a bit, I leaned over to fasten his seatbelt. Why aren't we driving? Don't tell me you don't know how to go on a date. Aren't you going to ask me anything? He turned to look at me, his handsome brows furrowed, somewhat nervous. I'm dating you, not conducting an interview. I really don't care about your past. I pinched his cheek. It felt nice. Let's just enjoy the relationship, enjoy the hormones. And enjoy me? His brows relaxed, a hint of a smile appearing. Blushing, I nodded sincerely. And you're welcome to enjoy me too. Isn't dating all about emotional value? Surely we're not jumping straight into till death do us part and daily life. That would be more like managing a project. Before, Soo Ki-an constantly demanded declarations of eternal commitment, but forgot the original purpose of dating. Two people finding joy in each other and wanting to explore more delightful realms together. Shen Mo's smile seemed a bit forced, but he started the car nonetheless. After dinner, Shen Mo asked if I wanted to watch a film. I clung to his arm and shook my head. I just want to look at you. How about you take me to the riverbank for some breeze, so I can look my fill? In the hazy night, his cheeks flushed slightly. That could be arranged. I stated matter-of-factly. It must be arranged. Over the years, my interactions with him had always been superficially dominant, while inwardly tangled in worry, teetering on the edge of giving up every day. When we first met, he was the psychologist and I was the patient. We confided in each other, discussing all sorts of current confusions. He also inquired after my well-being, caring and attentive. Having been lonely for so long, it was rare to meet someone who cared and responded to everything. I treasured it deeply, putting great effort into finding topics every time we chatted. But the good times didn't last. I learned about his connection to Soo Ki-an. Then suspicion arose, mingled with anger and resentment. Almost as revenge, I daily concocted psychological issues to bother him, giving him difficult problems, testing his patience. Yet, unexpectedly, he withstood it all. Instead, it was me who sank deeper. My hatred for Soo Ki-an is real, but I also know the best revenge is living better than him. Other underhanded tricks only harm others without benefiting oneself. I thought my words were reasonable, but he grew serious and asked earnestly, And you? Do you like me? Or do you simply crave someone to be with you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Don't know. Or do you simply crave someone to be with you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I crave companionship. Fear loneliness my liking is despicable, is that it? I dare not know. Seeing my silence, he suddenly relaxed, pulling me into an embrace and gently stroking the back of my head. It's all right. As long as it's me by your side, that's enough. The evening breeze by the river was gentle. The dazzling lights and scenery along both banks, which I'd grown tired of in daily life, became exceptionally romantic with another person involved. Shenmo seemed rather inexperienced. Holding my hand, he stood as still as if half paralyzed. Every now and then, I'd glance up at him, and his nervousness began rubbing off on me. Theoretical knowledge isn't very useful in practice. Before dating, scrolling through those sketch videos, I thought I'd learned it all, achieved enlightenment. But having actually snagged a boyfriend, I was still all flustered. Suddenly he stopped walking. Following his gaze, I saw a vibrant young man holding a guitar, busking by the roadside. Whenever someone scanned a code to tip, he'd offer a shy smile. I was just about to go over and encourage this brave, inexperienced boy when Shenmo lowered his head and gave me a mysterious smile. Then he let go of my hand and strode toward the guy. After whispering for a while, the young man handed his guitar to Shenmo, gave him an encouraging gesture, and stepped aside. I vaguely guessed what was coming, my face flushing before anything happened, heart racing. Old school moves, but still effective. Shenmo lowered his head, adjusted the strings a couple of times, and began playing seriously. His profile, under the warm yellow streetlight, exuded tenderness. He didn't look at me at first. Chin slightly raised, gaze distant, as if the noisy crowd around us didn't exist. His ears tinged red. Only during the climax did he lock eyes with me in the crowd, offering the lyrics to me word by word, his gaze frank and intense. The lyrics were simple, but every word expressed love. One line particularly moved me. Although the world keeps changing, with the most sincere heart, let love become simple. Sincerity is the ultimate romance. Betting with one's heart, leaving no retreat. I envy it, yet dare not. How many warriors charging for love actually win? As my thoughts swirled, someone shoved me hard from behind. I turned belatedly to see my handbag snatched away. Before I could even gasp, someone from behind had already shot off in pursuit like an arrow from a bow. I hurried to chase too, but Shenmo ran over and held me back. "Are you hurt?" Anxiously, I said, "My bag was stolen." Shenmo shook his head, signaling me not to panic. "The one chasing is Soo-Kian." I wasn't pleased with his calmness. He didn't explain further, just vigilantly scanned our surroundings, wrapped an arm around my shoulders, and led me forward. Gradually, I calmed down from the shock and understood the reason. After walking for over 10 minutes, we found Soo-Kian around a corner. He was kneeling on a man, throwing punch after punch with force. He ignored the man's pained cries, as if solely venting hatred. I couldn't stand it anymore, rushed over, and shoved Soo-Kian hard. "Are you trying to kill him?" Soo-Kian staggered, eyes red, and prepared to charge again. I spread my arms, blocking his way. "I won't let anyone bully you. For you, I'd give my life," Soo-Kian shouted. Then Shenmo walked over, expression indifferent, picked up the bag from the ground, took my hand, and walked in the opposite direction, as if too disgusted by the whole thing to even utter a word. I refused to let it go, determined to expose it. "Soo-Kian, your tactics are really low. Do you think I'd be moved by this stunt? Do you think I don't know what kind of person you are?" Soo-Kian clenched his fists, disbelief in his voice. "You're saying I staged this?" I scoffed disdainfully. "Haven't you staged plenty? How did I lose my last job? Why did I just happen to apply at your company? Why is there a camera specifically aimed at my workstation?" Soo-Kian showed no remorse for his wrongdoings, instead growing angrier. "I was protecting you." I laughed in anger, pulling Shenmo away quickly, tossing back, "Thank you for loving me so much." Soo-Kian rushed over, blocking our path. Pointing at Shenmo, his eyes turned sinister. "You idiot! Do you even know how dangerous the person beside you is?" I ignored him. Shenmo remained silent. Infuriated by our indifference, Soo-Kian lunged forward, grabbing Shenmo by the collar. "You used your psychological hints and manipulation to drive my mother insane. Now you're going to do the same to the woman I love most." Shenmo replied calmly, "I suggest you visit a psychiatric hospital." Then he looked down at me. "You might not care about my past, but I care very much that you might misunderstand my character. His mother caused a drunk driving accident that killed my mother. Later, to evade suspicion, she feigned madness. The entire Soo family played dumb, helping her destroy evidence. So I studied psychology and, in my own way, turned her fake madness into real madness. It was all too complex. I resisted knowing too many details, afraid it would complicate this relationship and put me in danger. So I hugged him, stopping him from continuing. Don't reopen your wounds. It hurts. I believe you. Just like me, the things that truly matter are sealed deep within, never spoken of. A flicker of disappointment passed through his eyes, but he didn't say more, just held my hand tightly. Beside us, Soo-Kian suddenly swung a fist. Shenmo sidestepped easily, saying magnanimously, I have a date. No time for lunatics. I wholeheartedly agreed, pulling Shenmo into a run. The wind washed over us, carrying away the unpleasantness. Laughter trailed us all the way. We ran so exuberantly that we exhausted ourselves. In the end, Shenmo carried me on his back, step by step, taking me home. It was all so beautiful that even in my dreams that night, I was lying prone on his back, the moon hanging above my head. With the beauty already in my grasp, going to work lost its flavor. Thinking to give Soo-Kian one last lesson before resigning, I brought up the previous recording incident in the company's main chat and all my classmates' groups. Regarding the previous recording incident, Director Sue, care to explain? Damaging my reputation, tarnishing my image, and sabotaging my relationship with my boyfriend. You owe me an apology. I couldn't be bothered arguing how that recording came about. As long as Soo-Kian apologized, the audience could guess the reasons. As soon as I sent the message, Soo-Kian's private message arrived. You want to threaten me with that video? I just think you've always owed me an apology, I replied. That previous kneeling didn't count in my book, that was Shenmo's doing. I wanted to personally claim the apology owed to me. He didn't reply further. The group chats fell silent. My resignation report needed Soo-Kian's signature, but I couldn't find him. I waited until afternoon when Tang Qingwen suddenly showed up at the company, eyes swollen, heading straight for my desk. Without a word, she grabbed my hand and pulled me outside. Hurry, go save Soo-Kian. He's drinking himself to death. Surprised, I said, what can I do? I'm not a doctor, nor a police officer, nor some animal lover. Tang Qingwen shot me a glare, mixed with resentment. How can you be so cold? Was this woman in the terminal stage of love addiction? I shook off her hand, annoyed by the eager looks from colleagues around. Probably because I have a brain. With that, I picked up my bag and left stylishly. Outside the office building, I called Shenmo, telling him I'd just quit my job. His mood seemed to lift instantly, laughter in his voice. So my job as the tool is over. There was a hidden meaning there. I replied, promoted from tool to boyfriend. Happy? Wait right there. I'll come immediately. I don't like waiting. Give me your address. I'll come to you right now. I hate waiting, hate placing myself in a humble position, pleading position. Since childhood, almost all my waiting has ended in disappointment. Waiting for my parents to change their minds and love me again. They didn't. They completely abandoned me. Their adopted daughter, pouring all their energy into their biological son. Waiting for my parents to remember my birthday, to wish me a happy birthday, they didn't. They just indifferently treated me as a toy for their son, blaming me for the slightest mishap. Waiting for my parents to call me actively, caring about my life, they didn't. They only cared if I handed over half my salary on time, to repay their kindness of upbringing. Sometimes I'd have evil thoughts. If only my parents really couldn't have children. As the doctor said, instead of letting me experience 5 years of doting love only to take it all back. Shenmo's address was a tea house called Tranquility. Arriving, I learned he was the owner. It wasn't large, with a serene environment. There were quite a few staff, and most were quiet. Upon asking, I found out most were autistic individuals. A few were volunteers wanting to escape their boring lives and responsibilities, finding something to do. After touring with Shenmo, I asked, why did you stop being a psychologist? He smiled. Knowing too many others' secrets made my own life heavy. Finding some tranquility, healing myself, isn't that good too? I resisted the urge to dig into his secrets and nodded in agreement. But then he grew curious, pressing, don't you care about my past at all? Knowing too many others' secrets would make my life heavy too, I replied using his words. No wonder Soo-Kian lost. You protect yourself too well, strictly controlling even your curiosity," he said with a rueful laugh. "The main reason I quit being a psychologist is that I felt unworthy of the title doctor. I have a stain." Hesitating, I couldn't help asking, "Because of Soo-Kyeon's mother?" Shen Mo immediately beamed, hugging me. "Yes. Anything else you want to ask?" Amused, I deliberately shook my head and said no. He sighed exaggeratedly. All right. Who told me I'm so obedient and sensible?" Shen Mo was quite popular here. People kept inviting him to private rooms for tea and chat. After each session, he'd return to me, looking exhausted. I teased him. "People might think you offer special services here. Getting so tired." After refilling the kettle, he looked at me pitifully. "Being a trash can. You people just keep dumping garbage in, never considering the trash can's feelings." This statement made more sense to me than his earlier mention of healing. I felt a pang of guilt. "Sorry, trash can. Next time I'll throw something nice in." He put on an even more exaggerated, pitiful act. "Before, I was a paid trash can. After changing careers, those clients followed me here, and now I'm a free trash can." I tutted. That really was too miserable. At least I have a conscience, offering myself. He instantly brightened, reaching across the tea table to ruffle my hair. "How did we end up praising you?" I laughed along with him, spending a pleasant afternoon like that. After dinner together, Shen Mo saw me home, acting the perfect gentleman. No matter how I invited him in, he refused. A few minutes after closing the door, there was a knock. I thought, what? Couldn't bear to leave so soon. But upon opening the door, my smile froze. Soo-Kyeon leaned against the doorframe, reeking of alcohol. A dangerous, an evil smile on his face. So worthless in his eyes, huh? Don't care about my humble life. Won't even come see me when I beg you. Cold-faced, I tried to close the door, but he barged in, glancing at the men's shoes on the rack. He swiftly covered my mouth with a damp cloth that smelled strongly pungent, pinning me against the wall. I struggled fiercely, but gradually weakened, consciousness fading. Waking up, everything was pitch dark, the silence terrifying. Cautiously, I tried moving and found myself tied, along with the bedboard beneath me. Thick tape covered my mouth, preventing speech. Panicked, I struggled frantically. Suddenly, bright lights flooded the room, stinging my eyes. Next, a hand forced its way between my fingers, interlacing tightly. As my eyes adjusted, I saw it was Soo-Kyeon and immediately cursed inwardly. Unfazed, he gazed at me affectionately. "A woman like you fucking deserves to be put in her place. I gave you so much patience, yet you kept acting up. Ha! Just bullying me for being a lovesick fool, huh?" A chill ran down my spine. I dared not provoke him further, staying silent. He quietly stared at me, unmoving. After what felt like ages, I tentatively asked, "Where is this?" He smiled tenderly, took off his shoes, and lay down beside me, aligning himself with me. Where our fate began. Then he closed his eyes. I seized the chance to survey the place. A small single-room shack, a toilet crammed in a corner abrupt, with no regard for privacy. The floor was piled with instant noodles, bread, and bottled water. Above the bed was a barred window. The wind blowing in felt damp and cool, occasionally carrying the sound of waves. The wall opposite the bed was covered with photos of Soo-Kyeon and me together. This place seemed like an elaborately arranged cell he prepared for me. No phone, no electronic devices. I had no sense of time, only fear marking its passage, struggling with futile effort. Beside me, he began emitting soft snores. After what felt like an eternity, he finally woke up, greeting me. "Need the toilet? I can help you." Tears instantly overflowed. I whimpered, begging him to let me go. He gave a doting smile. "Still shy with me?" With that, he moved closer. I mustered all my strength to evade, but couldn't budge. He removed a panel from between my legs. There, all set. Even the bed was specially designed. Did he intend for me to eat, drink, and relieve myself here? A deep sense of shame mixed with terror washed over me. My entire body trembled violently. He leaned down, whispering softly by my ear. "It's okay. You'll get used to it." My psychological defense line crumbled completely. I thrashed, making noises. He ignored me, went to use the toilet, then started making instant noodles. After eating, he brought a bowl over. Hungry? Be good and you'll eat. Misbehave, and I won't feed you. He ripped the tape from my mouth. Almost instinctively, I screamed for help. He immediately slapped me twice. Now's the time to overcome fear. Stay rational, I told myself. Effort. Trembling, I opened my mouth. Satisfied, he fed me a forkful of noodles. After several mouthfuls, observing his expression, a forced smile of mine looks worse than crying. Soo-Kian, let's talk properly. He pouted, refusing. I don't know how to believe you love me anymore. Just stay with me obediently. But this is illegal, I reminded carefully. You'll ruin yourself. Why? He felt extremely wronged, tears glistening in his eyes. I've already ruined myself for you. Aren't you moved? Stunned by his logic, I dared not speak further. In the time that followed, Soo-Kian kept talking about the past, as if he'd been bottling it up for ages. He said that since childhood, the person he liked most was his older brother, Shenmo. Because Shenmo was the child his father's first love had secretly given birth to without telling anyone. Later, when the first love fell ill and couldn't afford to raise him, she sent him back to the Su family. Shenmo felt inherently indebted to the Su family and to him, so he always catered to his every whim, acting subservient. But his own mother hated Shenmo, so he had to align with her, pretending to hate him too. In every aspect, academic performance, social skills, physical development, he had to outshine Shenmo. If he fell short anywhere, his mother would threaten suicide. Once, relatives from their hometown visited. The adults understood social graces, always praising Soo-Kian. But the children were guileless, preferring to follow the illegitimate son, Shenmo, sticking with him to play games. Soo-Kian felt isolated. His self-esteem was damaged, and felt his favorite thing had been taken over. His mother pressured him to fit in. The accumulated grievance and anger erupted one day when Shenmo took them to play by the water. While Shenmo went to buy drinks, Soo-Kian pushed his two young cousins into the water. Unexpectedly, he was also pulled in. At this point, he looked up, tears streaming as he smiled. We really are destined, are you? That day you saved me. A chill ran through me. Back then, my desperate act of saving him was more about earning praise and attention from my parents. He continued reminiscing. After getting to know me, he thought I was simple and easily satisfied. A few words of thanks could make me lose myself. He grew fond of that control. Each time he made me happy, he felt a sense of achievement. What felt even more rewarding was that after the deaths of those two children, Shenmo became withdrawn and introverted, not speaking a word, even dropping out of school. Meanwhile, he could live happily every day, even flaunting every detail about me to his brother in his room under the guise of kindness, receiving everyone's praise. As he spoke, he descended into a maniacal state. I was complacent for so long, never expecting him to ruin it all. If his mother hadn't been so cheap, running back to have an ambiguous relationship with my dad, my mom wouldn't have been foolish enough to kill her. I wouldn't have rushed home during our sweetest time, and you wouldn't have broken up with me. It's all his fault. He and his mother are both cheap. I'm also an idiot. All those years, out of guilt, I tried to befriend him, never seeing how scheming he was. I treated him as a good brother, told him all my secrets, even had him monitor you for me. He slapped himself several times, left and right, looking terrifying. After hitting himself, he switched to a cheerful expression. Do you know Stockholm Syndrome? Tang Qingwen was a good test subject. I can't bear to do this to you. You forced me. How dare you not care about my life? Then why should I care about yours? He approached me step by step with a smile, his shadow completely engulfing me. I had endured physical pain, but when he started tearing at my clothes, I really can't hold it anymore. My pupils dilated, I arched my back, fighting desperately. He wanted me to develop Stockholm Syndrome. At the critical moment, I heard police sirens. Soo-Kian heard them too. He stopped, looking toward the door menacingly. Shenmo, well done. Then, he untied the cloth binding my legs to the bed, retied them separately, did the same with my hands, separating me from the bed. I didn't know what he intended, just kept shaking my head in panic. Without looking at me, he crouched on the bed, removed the iron window bars, then picked me up, revealing a bloodthirsty smile. Do you know why I chose to live by the water? Our fate began with water. Let it end there too. As the police broke down the door, he jumped out the window with me in his arms. Plunging into the water. Water rushed into my nostrils from all directions. My throat hurt as if swallowing sharp stones, burning as it reached my lungs. Was this liberation? I stopped struggling, actually feeling a sense of relief. Seconds later, someone supported me, halting my descent. I forced my eyes open. It was Shen Mo. He arrived so fast, as if waiting underwater for me. Later, Shen Mo asked me what I was thinking the moment he appeared. I rolled my eyes playfully and threw myself at him, exclaiming, "You are my god." Seeing that Su Qian had deliberately chosen a house built near a reservoir to imprison me, Shen Mo guessed his desperate intention of jade and stone burning together. He had ambushed near the house underwater from the start, hence rescuing me so quickly. Su Qian was also rescued but imprisoned. As for me, I was compelled to stay at Shen Mo's tea house, working as a server but enjoying treatment of the boss's wife. The reason for my compromise was simply that Shen Mo was too good at seduction. The saving your life. Is this request too much? He cornered me on the sofa, his nose brushing mine, gaze drawing. Fresh from a shower, he hadn't fully dried before putting on a white shirt, making his abs faintly visible. The buttons on his chest were open. The scent of shower gel mixed with his masculine aura rushed into my nose, making my limbs go weak. How could I refuse? Having tasted success, Shen Mo used the opportunity, playing the emotional card during our daily coexistence, guiding me step by step to agree to participate in his past. He said, "Your way of protecting yourself is to not understand others, to trust no one. But I want you to care about me, to integrate me into your life, your emotions. I want us to be honest with each other. My mother and my father were first loves, almost married. But due to some arguments, they broke up. My mother was already pregnant with me. She planned to tell him when he came back to her. But within a month, my father had a flash marriage with another woman. Utterly disappointed, she kept my birth a secret from everyone. But her moral integrity was soon worn out by reality. She couldn't afford to raise me, and begged the Su family to take me in. I can never escape the illegitimate son label. This is my unspeakable thing." Clenching my palms, I nervously said, "It's okay. I don't care about that." "Then what do you care about?" Shen Mo asked. I thought seriously. "Well, since I'm now your family member, can you refund all those previous consultation fees?" He froze for a moment, then laughed in exasperation, pinching my cheeks and shaking them. "You really don't know how to like someone properly." Not convinced, I said, "I like you. You're just greedy for my body. ... I couldn't refute that. After hearing Shen Mo's past, I couldn't help sighing inwardly. The first halves of both our lives were lived in such a lowly state. Yet, we had to treat this inferiority as fate's gift. I finally understood. I always thought he approached me because of Su Qian. Actually, no. Shen Mo had noticed me from the moment I risked my life to save Su Qian. He said he was shocked by my courage to risk my life to save others. Later, he approached me intentionally. When he went abroad, he told me his classmate would refer a client, and I must treat them seriously. When it turned out to be you, I knew he was gone but had planted informants around you. I feared he'd hurt you, so I played along to figure out his intentions. My original intention was to protect you. With fear after the event, I shook my head. Even I, someone a bit perverted, think he's perverted. Maybe we should break up. I'll repay the life-saving grace in the next life. He directly pressed me into his embrace. Look at my face. Can you bear to? All right, he had me. When will you open your heart to me? He asked. The question put me in a situation like facing a formidable enemy. I never planned to be open and honest about those things to anyone else, even though we'd shared many secrets. Those were things I myself dared not face arriving alone in this world. Being abandoned, adopted, and abandoned again. Back then, my mother was diagnosed infertile. After years of treatment with my father without success, they secretly adopted me, an abandoned baby, from an orphanage, pouring all their regrets into love for me. All the children around envied me having such good parents. I was always proud. But when I was 5, my mother became pregnant unexpectedly. Then my happiness came to an abrupt end without warning. They cruelly told me I wasn't their biological child and had no right to compete with my younger brother for affection. They dared not tell friends, relatives, or neighbors, but felt justified telling me, warning me not to tell anyone. So everyone just thought our family was a mediocre case of favoring boys over girls. Thinking of this, my whole body trembled, breaking into a cold sweat. The surroundings began to sway. Yet, the next moment, I fell into an embrace filled with a delicate fragrance. A voice like coaxing a child came from above. "Don't be afraid. I'm here. I have the patience to wait for you to open your heart. You also need to believe I am your best medicine. Although the world keeps changing, my love for you will always be simple and sincerity." His kiss followed his words. My heart seemed to split open a crack. I heard the wind, just like the wind by the river that night, blowing in my ear. Perhaps that night's moonlight would soon shine in. Shenmo, you once asked me if I liked you, or simply craved someone's company. Now I see the answer. I don't just crave someone's company. I crave yours, always and forever. Before, I constantly warned myself, if no one loves me, I must love myself more. But I wouldn't admit I didn't know how to love, not even myself. Otherwise, why was I afraid to respect my own heart's throbbing? Why did I habitually deceive myself? This time, I want to be brave. Please give me a little more time. Please teach me how to love. The end.